My name is Robert Ellis, and along with my colleague Telly C., we are the board liaisons to CTA's Racial Equity Affairs Committee, also known as REAC. We are here to present a short but important presentation about the National Education Association Bylaw 31G and to explain why it matters to CTA and to you, our state delegation. In 1954, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled unanimously that the racial segregation of children in public schools was unconstitutional. 10 years after that landmark decision, the NEA adopted Resolution 12, requiring racially segregated state affiliates to merge. Shortly after, in 1966, the National Education Association and the American Teachers Association, which primarily represented educators of color in the South, formally signed a unification certification at the NEARA in Miami, Florida. The ATA and NEA became one association. Kelly.
As part of an inclusive union, our diversity, collaboration, and unity plays an integral part as the largest education labor organization in the United States. To ensure inclusivity, the NEA in 1974 adopted new governing documents whereby ethnic minority representation is guaranteed in the Constitution for NEA governing bodies. Bylaw 31G took effect on September 1st of that year to establish ethnic minority requirements for the NEA-RA. To monitor CTA's commitment to fulfilling its 31G requirement, the Racial Equity Affairs Committee is charged with overseeing the development and implementation of CTA's plan. The Racial Equity Affairs Committee is made up of representatives from the following caucuses: the African American Caucus, the American Indian Native Alaskan Caucus, the Hispanic Caucus, and the Pacific Asian American Caucus.
NEA's commitment to Bylaw 31G begins at the NEA Representative Assembly by engaging each state association to elect a state and local delegate that reflects the racial and ethnic diversity among all the students, school employees, and communities that we serve. California's representation is as follows. 75% of our K-12 population are Black, Indigenous people of color. 60% of California's population are Black, Indigenous people of color, according to the 2010 US Census, which is used to establish the annual 31G numerical goal for the state. 52.5% of CTA's delegation last year were Black, Indigenous people of color. As you can see, the percentage is far below the 60% where we want to be. Finally, 35% of our state education workforce is made up of Black, Indigenous people of color. Through these numbers, you can see why letting CTA know your ethnic designation is very important to the organization in order to meet its 31G goal of 60%. You can also see why it is important for us as an organization to recruit Black, Indigenous people of color into our profession and support them in leadership roles in our association. We know they are there. We just need to provide them with the opportunities they deserve. Remember, 31G is an association issue, not an ethnic minority issue. Therefore, when you register, make sure that you check your ethnic designation and let's all do our part to be an inclusive and representative union.
This message is provided on behalf of the CTA Racial Equity Affairs Committee. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a wonderful rest of the meeting and our first ever virtual RA.